Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. Chris here with another video, and we have another ThinkPad here for Thinkcember. This is my ThinkPad that I daily drove for the last year or so, minus a couple weeks, obviously, because it's no longer my main ThinkPad. This is a ThinkPad L13 Yoga Gen 1. So I bought this in like October-ish of 2020. And it was for approximately 12 months, my main daily driver. And it's a great machine. If I hadn't made the decision to change some of my usage requirements back to more the way they used to be, I'd probably still be using this. But anyway, this is a great machine. And I would like to say that this laptop here is the most Swiss Army knife ThinkPad I have ever owned. And I would 100% recommend this to people who want a ThinkPad that can do a little bit of everything, right? So it's not the lightest, it is not the most powerful, it is not the best at everything, but it can do all of the things. So take a look here. You've got the nice what is this? GFRB? I can't remember the acronym that's used to describe the case material, but it's a metallic, not plastic, but it's also not carbon fiber, but it is very sturdy and durable. It's actually the exact same material that the X13 Yoga is made with. So this is identical in terms of the exterior view. You would be very hard pressed to know the difference between them just taking a curious glance on it. It is one of the yoga machines, so it has that full convertible capability. Ports wise, we'll take a look. On the left side here, we have our audio port, USB. We've got this feature connector here, which is actually a USB-C, and then there's a dongle connector here for an Ethernet. The way this is shaped here is actually because this supports some docking functionality that Lenovo sells. So they sell some docking stations that look like a mechanical dock, but they're actually, the way they plug in is just like you push a button and slide it in, and it plugs in this part here to provide power, USB-C connectivity to all the ports on the docking station, and then connectivity for the Ethernet. But there's also a dongle you can buy that connects to this as well. And then another USB-C that allows you to charge. You can charge from, I remember correctly, both these ports will actually charge it. But this also functions as a standard USB-C port. Nothing on the back as far as connectivity. We've got some exhaust here for our fan. And then on the opposite side, we have our power button. We have a micro SD card slot, another USB port, and then an HDMI out. And then we've also got the garage for your pen, your stylus, to be able to do stylus mode on this as well. So you got lots of stuff going on here. And then on the front end here, there is a spot here if you needed a smart card as well. When we open up the machine and take a look at your keyboard, so you've got your standard ThinkPad keyboard here. Although I will say this is not exactly standard, so this is slightly truncated. You can tell by seeing how the backspace is a little bit smaller. So this is, I think, like a 90% keyboard. If we compare to, let me get my compact. So you can see the size of the backspace is a little bit smaller, right? So they could have probably fit the full-size keyboard on here, but these side panels here might have been restricting a little bit, and that might have gotten in the way of some of the engineering in terms of durability on this, in terms of flex and all that stuff. Full-size touchpad and all this, fingerprint reader, and you'll see something interesting here. There's a camera here. There is also a camera on the screen itself, right? So there's a cutout on the bezel where you've got your Think shuttered camera here. So you've got two cameras on this system. And the reason for that is because if I go into tablet mode on this, right, which a Yoga can do, I could actually hold it like this, right, and have a camera on the other side to be able to record stuff like a tablet would. I have never seen a convertible laptop with that kind of feature where it's got two cameras. I've seen ones where it's like the tablet PC, so like the whole thing is one box, right, and you have a keyboard that you plug into the bottom of or something like a Surface. but never one where it's a convertible, where I've got the whole clamshell, I can fold it right over and I still have access to the keyboard. So that's pretty awesome. Screen-wise, I'm going to turn this on now. We've got a only one screen option for this, so it's a 1080p screen, 13.3 inches 1080p, and it is a touch screen. Light-wise, it's 300 nits, so it's not the brightest, but for standard indoor use and office use, it's perfectly acceptable in terms of your performance. And you saw that was from a cold boot, how quick it actually boots up into Windows. So it's pretty, pretty good performance, capability out of that. So as I mentioned, right, you've got all of these features, right? I have a laptop that I have, it's yoga. So I can do this mode. I can do, the I'm watching a media mode. I can do the tent mode, right? I can do the full tablet mode, right? And I'm touch. So I've got touch sensitivity and I can use the pen. I have 2 cameras. So I have the ability to do a standard camera mode, and then I also have that second camera that I can use to be able to do recording. So it literally can do everything, which is so amazing to me. Like I've loved the fact that I could have all of these features available in a laptop. It's actually what brought me to want to buy it. But what I did find personally was my use case, I wasn't using 90% of the things that it could do. So I wanted to get back into something that was more suitable towards what I'm actually going to use a laptop for. Anyways, so that's a lot of the positives. If I would say things that could be improved upon, which if you look at other models that are close to this range, you can get. So number 1, a 16:10 aspect ratio screen. Obviously, that's the new hotness everyone wants to get. So if you get into the X13 Yoga, which is the higher end version of this kind of, the Gen 2 X13 Yoga has a 16:10 screen. So you can get that, but you're not going to get the second camera if you do that. So one drawback. If you want Thunderbolt instead of USB-C, so you can plug into a Thunderbolt dock, an eGPU, any of that type of stuff. The X13 Yoga Gen 1 and Gen 2 and the L13 Yoga Gen 2 all have Thunderbolt. So this is the only one of those 4 similar models here that don't have Thunderbolt capability. So if you want that, you can get that, right? 16:9 with Thunderbolt, you can get the Gen 2 L13 Yoga. You've got all that available. If you want WWAN, you have to go to the X13 Yoga, Gen 1, Gen 2, both supported. But if you want vPro, it's supported on here. There's an i3, and then there's an i5 vPro and non-vPro, and an i7 vPro and non-vPro available for these. This machine here, if I remember correctly, is a non-vPro i7, I believe, is the processor that I had configured with this. At the time, it was before we had lots of supply issues, so I was able to actually order a customized model. So I've got a i7 10510U CPU. So it's 4 cores, 8 processors. It boosts up, I think, to 4.25 gigahertz. So pretty good performance there. 16 gig of DDR4 memory that's installed on this one. And then I've got a 1 terabyte NVMe drive that I upgraded a 1 terabyte, yeah. And there was a 128 gigabyte that was installed in here originally, and I replaced it. Wi-Fi AC, there is a Wi-Fi 6 option available for this as well. I chose the AC option to save a couple bucks, and I don't have Wi-Fi 6 in my house, so I didn't really need it. And then graphics wise, there's no GPU, like discrete GPU capability. You've just got the shared UHD graphics that are part of the processor package, which in a format this thin and this small, with this small a cooling envelope, you don't want a discrete graphics card. It's a bad idea, right? You're setting yourself up to just not be able to go and have a good time. Power wise, I think it's a 45 watt battery. I've had this machine with the antennas turned off because I was doing like offline stuff, like playing some older games like Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition or something. I've had this last 11 hours on just battery. With the antennas active and just using standard, like watching streaming YouTube or whatever, I've had it about 6 hours, I think, at full brightness. So battery life is great on these machines because they don't have a ton of, they're not sucking necessarily a bunch of juice. Now I've got the i7 processor in here. If you go down to an i5, you'll get slightly better battery life, obviously. And the fact that this is only a 1080p screen helps as well. I should mention that as well. If you want a 4K screen, the X13 Yoga has 4K screens as well. So you can get that higher resolution, but you're going to pay a price in battery performance. And I think that's all I want to say about this. Well, you know, I would say this is a great, as I mentioned, if you're looking for a Swiss Army knife ThinkPad, something that can do a little bit of everything, has a whole bunch of features and capabilities that you may not even realize you want or need, I would look at one of these, the L13 Yoga Gen 1 or Gen 2. And then if you don't mind losing the second camera that's on here as well, then I would say that you want to look at the X13 Yoga Gen 1 or Gen 2. They're great. They're really well designed, durable machines, mil-spec, all that great stuff, and full featured. And then go from there. If you're going to make your decision to say, no, I don't care about these three things. Is there a different model that's a better price performance or whatever? And maybe there's something in the T series or the X1 series that is more suitable to what you want to accomplish. But again, L13 Yoga, I would highly recommend this to anybody who's looking for a kind of a Swiss Army knife ThinkPad. I just wanted to share this with you to show you what I've been using to edit videos maybe for the last year, or what I've been using as my daily driver for the last year or so, and really have enjoyed myself with it before it's ready to move on to a second life, obviously, because I'm not going to keep it and have it sit on a shelf and not get used. ThinkPads need to be used. Yes, sometimes they belong in a museum like a 701C maybe, but you know, I'm a firm believer that if it's still got life in it, it wants to work, right? It's a ThinkPad. It wants to work. So it needs to find a new home to work in. So I'm going to make sure I get a good home for this one to work in. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and we will catch you in the next one.